Okay, for the sake of expediency, I'm going to keep this brief. Is Ryan Upchurch insane? A lot of people have been asking that for a long time, but you know what? If you go back to his earliest socials, I think you'll find that he hasn't really changed, so he's always been a little bit crazy. The simple answer to that question is, fuck no, he's not insane. In fact, Ryan is one of the few people on the internet at the moment that is talking any sense at all. And he's doing so in a way that, unlike myself, who has a tendency to overcomplicate things and bring in all the metaphysical nonsense, he talks about it in a very down-to-earth way. So, let's talk about the last couple of videos he's done. Let's unpack this and do it quickly. So, Ryan was talking about coincidences, and as you all know from my previous videos, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in synchronicity. I believe that coincidences, as Ryan said, they don't happen to people on an individual basis. They happen to a large number of people, and we probably just don't notice. So is it a filter that's over our perception? Or is it more like an energy field that pervades all physical existence? See, now I would be inclined to go with that particular explanation, because the way I view synchronicity, i.e. coincidence, is you've got so many different patterns going on in the world, and they all seem to cross over and bounce off each other and merge and dissipate and everything else. So we don't notice that there are patterns there because, well, it's all chaotic. But if I can use a music analogy, being a musician, if you're listening to an orchestra when they're tuning up before a performance, guess what happens? It's all chaotic, but somewhere in all of that cacophony of noise, you'll get little patterns of music that overlap in such a way as to create something that's really pleasing to the ear. And for anyone who is like really tuned into that sort of thing, they'll go, wow, gee, oh, yeah, that was good. That sounded really, really good. And they'll also go, what sounded good? I missed it. And it's like, yeah, exactly, you missed it because it was there and then it's gone as quickly as it arose. That's basically what coincidence is. You've got all the different patterns going on in nature, patterns in the world around us that coincide, hence coincidence, to basically catch our attention. I believe that these things, these patterns, these synchronicities are put there on purpose by either the divine architect or by our own higher spirit as road signs or way markers to let us know that we are indeed on the right path in life, or to guide us onto the next stage of our journeys. Let's talk about what Ryan was insinuating with past, present, and future. And the whole idea of what is this coincidence that's happening? What is this event that's happening in my life at the moment? Now, he talks about it in terms of past, present, future, with trying to make a car go faster. And he said, to get to the future, you need to have a preconceived notion of what that future is based on your present situation. But in order to move from the present to the future, you need to borrow energy or information from the past and then bring it forward to affect change in the future in alignment with that preconceived idea of the future in order to travel there. So basically what he's saying is we exist in all states of past, present, future simultaneously in some shape or form. Now, yes, that's true, and I agree with that. Ryan's hit it pretty much on the head, but he's still thinking in terms of linear time. Now, as many of you will already know from previous videos of mine, I don't think time's linear. And neither did the Hermetics, neither did the Pythagoreans. Time is more like a web, actually. You've got so many different timelines or paths or threads going in different directions, going left, right, forwards, backwards, up, down, diagonal, long ways, square ways, whatever ways you can think of. Because time is a concept and therefore exists outside of 1, 2, or 3 dimensional existence. Because all concepts do, and Plato alluded to this when he was talking about the world of forms. So time itself as a construct is, you could say, multidimensional, or at the very, very least, fourth dimensional, right? We as three-dimensional beings only perceiving our three-dimensional environment in 2D, and our perception being, you could say, a reflection of our processing capability, which is 1D, when it comes to time at least, because it's an abstract concept, we only ever see what's right in front of us. So even though Time is a web that we're constantly jumping around from one node to the next and back again. Hence reincarnation, past lives, etc., etc. By the way, you can have a past life that's actually set in the future from whatever present moment you're in, because it's already happened, it's already been written, you just have to catch up. Yeah, when we're in that web, we can only see in 1D. We can only see forwards or backwards. And that's why we perceive time as linear, because of our limited processing capability of abstract concepts. The difference between ghosts and time travelers. Why are ghosts non-physical and time travelers physical? Answer to that is fairly simple, without trying to bring too much of the metaphysical stuff into it. Ghosts are energetic imprints on the fabric of reality. Everything is energy. Even solid matter is actually just energy that's been squeezed into a singularity. And then there's lots and lots and lots of those singularities that are squashed together into geometric forms. Geometric patterns. Again, patterns of energy. When we finally shed this mortal coil and return to the state of spiritual energy that we were before we incarnated here, guess what happens? Everything that we've done, everything that we've said, everything that we've thought, everything that we've ever affected in life is recorded in the fabric of reality itself. Just as music is recorded into the surface of the vinyl, you can put a needle on it and trace it round, and you'll see all those little bumps and dips and whatever else, and that's what gives you the sound, right? In the same way, the fabric of reality is full of little bumps and dips left over from our existence, our physical existence. So if your consciousness and your perception is the needle on the vinyl surface, as you're going around, you're going to hit those bumps and dips, and that's going to manifest to us as ghosts. Okay? Now you get two types. You get sentient, non-sentient. Non-sentient is basically just the raw recording. There's no consciousness attached to it because there's no reason for it. It's just literally an imprint. It's a recording. Whereas sentient ghosts are ones where there's been some kind of really strong, powerful emotion or some traumatic event or catastrophic event that has caused the soul of the individual creating that recording, creating that imprint, to fragment, and that fragment of the spirit or the consciousness gets attached to the recording. And therefore it has consciousness, which is why it can see you, it can speak to you, it can respond, you can have a conversation with it, you can call it to you, you can send it away. Those are sentient spirits because they are the energetic recordings of us in the world, but with a fragment of our consciousness attached to it. So that's why it goes to non-physical. Time travelers, on the other hand, I don't think they are physical people that travel from the physical future into the physical present. No, because if we tried that, well, theoretical physics has already demonstrated that really it's not possible, because to travel through time, you'd have to travel through space due to differential transference. And to do that, you'd have to travel at the speed of light. And to do that, you would have to fragment yourself into subatomic particles with no mass, etc., etc., to overcome Einstein's law of general relativity and E equals mc squared, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so how did he do it? Well, consciousness is an energy, and that energy has no mass, and therefore can travel faster than the speed of light. When you dream, and when you think of things that have happened in the past, you know what's happening? You are time traveling. You are sending your consciousness back in time to an older version of yourself to relive that moment in time, or that moment in space, or that moment in existence. Your consciousness is time traveling. And then, when you come back into yourself, you're back in the present moment. If you imagine what's going to happen in the future, we're talking about precognizance here, right? What you're doing is casting your spirit, your consciousness, into the future, into a future version of yourself that already exists, because it's already happened, it's already been written by the divine creator, or by your own angelic spirit, right? You're sending yourself into that future version of yourself just for a tiny moment to experience that and bring information back. That can also happen in reverse. A future version of yourself can come back to your present self and temporarily possess you and give you messages and information from the future. Well, precognizance can work in both ways. Are you traveling to the future, or is your future self traveling back to you? Doesn't matter, because it's all existing at the same time. Your consciousness is just jumping from one point on the web to another point on the web and back again. Okay? Now, how does this work for hundreds or even thousands of years in the future? Because you don't have a future version of yourself, because you've died. and your spirit has gone off and dissipated and gone into everything else around you. Easy. Genetic memory. I've always believed that we reincarnate if we choose to, unless we're told that we can't. And that in order to reincarnate into another point in time, you have to have either a living predecessor into whose body or vessel you can incarnate, or you have to have a living descendant. Now, it doesn't have to be a direct blood descendant of you. It could be of your brother or your cousin or whatever. All right, so long as there is a genetic tie there, the spirit can synchronize with that physical body and reincarnate into that. So you can reincarnate as a distant cousin of yourself. Either way, that distant relative in the future can cast their consciousness back to an older relative, i.e. you, and give you messages from the future. So these time travelers that we're seeing in interviews and everything else are people who are probably being temporarily possessed by the spirit or consciousness of their future relative to get messages from the future. Which is why, after this time traveler persona leaves, more often than not, they're left utterly confused, dazed, no memory of what the hell's gone on, or sometimes they're left complete vegetables. That's the scary one, because it's the idea that your actual consciousness inhabiting the present moment is pushed out and replaced by something else, which, yeah, it's a scary idea. You just left an empty shell at the end of it. Nah, no thanks. So that's the difference between ghosts and time travelers. Ooh, I'm joined by a mini-me. Hello, dude. You're trying to escape. So, aliens. Let's unpack this one real quick, because Ryan's video is two-parter on the age of the Earth Mysteries and aliens and UFOs. Kind of also ties into his earlier video on the coincidences, ghosts, time travelers, and aliens. I don't believe in little green men. Neither does Ryan. Ryan believes that the UFOs that we all see are human vehicles. I also believe this. If you look at all of the popular depictions of UFOs and aliens, they all really started to come about in a standardized form since the late 1940s, i.e. after the end of the Second World War, when Operation Paperclip was underway and American and Russian scientists started pissing about with blueprints left over from the Nazi aerospace program. So yeah, really, Operation Paperclip is the start of the popular UFO subculture that we have today. Aliens, however, I do believe exist, and as Ryan said in one of his recent videos, one of the two most recent videos, if you're a primitive human on a relatively undeveloped planet Earth, looking up at the luminary bodies and thinking, whoa, I'm the same colour as the Earth beneath my feet, I wonder if there are beings that live on those luminaries that match the colour in the same way that I match the colour of the body that I'm standing on. It's common sense. And that's why we depict these aliens or these angels as having big rings of light around them, because guess what? The sun has big rings of light around it. And that's basically what primitive humans would have thought of when they're looking at the sun, the moon, and the stars and the other planets in the solar system. At least the ones they could see. I believe that there are other beings of intelligence, probably greater than ours, most likely greater than ours, existing on planets around other stars in the galaxy, not the solar system. What am I talking about? Yeah, other planets in the galaxy. Because I've often sat there, at night time, looking at a star and thinking, I wonder if there's a planet orbiting that star with someone just like me, looking at my star and wondering the same thing. Are we connecting on a psychic level here or what? I don't know, but it's a cool idea. Just like you can project your consciousness across time, I believe you can project your consciousness across space. So I think where people have visitations from these spirits or these angels or these aliens, it's actually someone on another planet who has developed their consciousness to a far greater degree than what we have and are able to project themselves etherically across the gulf of space, across the gulf of time, and to communicate to us. I think often when we get these UAPs, not UFOs, but UAPs, you know, just the bright lights, the formless bright lights in the sky, balls of fire, balls of lightning, whatever. These are probably atmospheric electromagnetic interferences which occur when a strong energy source, or, you know, a powerful consciousness, is projected across space through our atmosphere and into our physical and energetic space. It's going to have some kind of weird energetic knock-on, isn't it? It has to. I also think that a lot of the experiences that the ancient peoples of Earth had with regards to aliens or angels or gods was down to our ingestion of hallucinogenic substances. Not that we were all just tripping balls and saying whatever the hell was in our heads. No, I think it expanded human consciousness to the point where we were able to reach out and touch these things in their own space, in their own dimensional realms. Or at least we had a greater degree of perception of them when they came to visit us. Which is probably why we depict these ancient doorways and we carve them into rock faces and things like that. These are doorways, portals through which these consciousnesses, these aliens, these spirits, these angels, these gods of the ancient world come through and communicate wisdom to us. The high ancient sciences. You know, they teach us what the plants do. They teach us what the rocks do. They teach us how to work with metals. They teach us how to map the stars. How do the Dogon know that Sirius is a binary star system? How did they know that thousands of years ago? I'll tell you. Either something that lived on a planet or in that binary star system projected itself down here and told them, or they were able to journey across space themselves by just astral projection. And they go all the way to that star that they've been looking at because it's a fucking bright star. And they're like, oh, wow, I wonder what it looks like up close. So they project out their bodies, fly across space and go, whoa, mate, it's not one ball of fiery gas, it's two. And then they come back and they map that. And they're able to perceive the relative distance between this celestial body and that celestial body because they've traveled that distance. Not physically, but astrally. There you go, explanation. I think that our civilization was built by people who had the ability to communicate with other, more advanced consciousnesses than our own. I don't think aliens came down in spaceships with fucking levitation beams and helped us build the pyramids, or built the pyramids for us using high technology. No, I think they told us how we can use our environment and how we can use the laws of physics to manipulate bodies of immense weight and mass with ease. And you see that guy in America, I can't remember which state it is, don't know if it's Georgia or somewhere like that. He's able to move massive blocks of stone with bits of wood and smaller bits of stone. He uses, you know, pivoting, and he uses pulley systems and everything else, and he's able to manipulate these blocks of stone on his own. So imagine if you take that knowledge, that technology, and you apply it on a large scale, thousands of people, not slaves, by the way, but volunteers, people who want to chip in and do something fucking amazing and make their mark on history. These weren't slaves. These were organized people who wanted to do what they were doing. But yeah, I think those people, the architects of these ancient monoliths and megaliths and these ancient structures, these ancient temples, these ancient statues, they got their knowledge from other beings through psychic connection, astral projection, through hallucination. The age of human civilization is far greater than what academics will make it out to be. I believe that we've gone through several cycles of civilization and then destabilization, societal collapse, near extinction, and then a rebuilding from the ground up. Having to relearn the arts and sciences which allowed us to build those civilizations in the first place. And why is there no evidence of it? Well, one, environmental catastrophe can basically wipe out any evidence of human civilization. We've already seen this before with tsunamis, in immense earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, etc., etc. But more than that, What happened to all of the amazing Roman buildings in Britain? You want to know what happened to them? Farmers happened to them. They took those ancient buildings, stone by stone, brick by brick, and they repurposed them to make fucking walls to keep their sheep in their fields. That's what happened. You want to know why suddenly you've got all these amazing structures and then it drops off to nothing and gets steadily worse? Because people got stupider. Our ancient ancestors were immensely smarter than we are. We're catching up in different ways, but they were smarter. Let's not bandy about that. I reckon human civilization could be as much as half a million years old. I believe the human species could be as old as 1 million years old, maybe 2. And if you were to read the book Forbidden Archaeology, or the condensed version of it, with the title of which I cannot remember, but I think it's by Michael Cremo anyway. Get the big one, Forbidden Archaeology, get the big one. It's worth it. That tells you everything that you need to know about how the archaeological evidence of humanity's ancient origins has been systematically suppressed by the academic elite. So that's where I'm going to leave it. That's my reaction to Ryan's videos. I hope this adds some light to things. I hope this, I don't know, strikes a chord with some of you. And until my next video, thank you very much for watching, and may Gods be with you. Bye for now.